facing the creation of laws, the policies, and the process continues. And we believe that the time is coming where self-regulation will become more important. One will have to focus on best practices and promote the same for its usage across the industry, governments particularly themselves, and every other organization.
What worries, I just want to ask all three of you this, what worries you? Is it criminal attacks? Is it this technology in the hands of terrorists? What is the problem that you worry most about?
If you look at the way the malicious activity is expanding worldwide, phishing sites, all kinds of attacks which are taking place, and the internet is said to be the perfect platform for plausible deniability. So attribution is a major problem, whether you can lead up to the players or the actors who are actually attacking, who are creating cyber attacks. So this problem will have to be solved. I think it requires international cooperation. It is not a mere technology problem, but many other, the context of analysis, the field investigations, they have to be all put together, which requires that a crime will have to be investigated with the cooperation of law enforcement agencies across the countries.
Well, you know, I mean, I was just thinking, Howard, a year ago, nobody was talking about having a conference like this. Now I think everybody agrees this is something that we all need to find out about and decide what we're going to do about it. What was it that got the government's attention?
Well, I think for the most part, you know, we've been looking at this since 1996. President Clinton created a commission on critical infrastructure protection led by General Tom Marsh and put out what was known as PDD 63, Presidential Decision Directive. In 2003, released when I was at the White House last time, National Strategy to Secure Cyberspace. And now we have the recent Cyberspace Policy Review. And I think what's happened is each increment of this, more and more people are aware of it. As more people are aware, they recognize their vulnerabilities that exist. And so as a consequence, now we have not only individuals that are doing online banking, doing e-commerce, using the great telecommunications infrastructure we've got, but we recognize it's not just us, it's the rest of the world. And I think that's the impetus to bring everybody together like they are today.
In Europe?
Well, I think if we look into the situation, everyone knows that we depend on this IT infrastructure. And I think on one hand, it's the responsibility of governments to make a framework in a legal perspective, also to support awareness, and in the end to have an economy supporting situation. We call it smooth running of the internal market in Europe. But this is also true on the global level. So I think the basic situation is that we have a rapid change in technology. Technology is implemented, but the mindset of the people, the understanding and the awareness of the citizens is not going the same speed. So the human behavior doesn't change. So what we see in the physical world, now we have on the internet, so we have crime there, people stealing money, we have espionage in this area. And I think from this, it's very important that we have a common approach on this topic.
Well, you know, you bring up a very interesting point, because unlike on the sea, in the air, or in space, there's just a total absence of the norms of behavior in cyberspace. How did that come about, Howard?
Well, I think one of the things when you start looking at the difference between those three spectrums and the internet, as we know it today, is not anything that's available to everybody. They're discrete systems owned and operated by individuals, individual companies, and individual governments. There's sovereignty issues involved there, there's legal issues, and we've not seen the level of interconnectivity ever before in mankind. So the ability to sit there and say, yeah, this is good behavior over here, may be totally different in another culture, in another area. So consequently, trying to establish the norms is one of the things we're really working towards right now is, you know, what's the good behavior? We see it in society. We know you don't walk up to somebody and you push them out of your way, at least you're not supposed to. But we need to learn the same thing on the internet as well.
You know, one of the things that we worry about and are dealing with in journalism is that the internet is the first vehicle that we have ever had to deliver news that has no editor. The worst newspaper has somebody on the staff who knows where the stuff comes from. But now we deal with news items that pop up. We don't know if they're true. We don't know if they're false. And I think about this from the standpoint of a journalist, but when you have to start thinking about it in terms of national security, it becomes an even bigger problem, it seems to me. Can you have privacy as we have known it in the past and security in this kind of world that we're operating in now?
I think it is possible. It is that we have always tried to juxtapose privacy versus security. But when we look at the world now, the concept of privacy is also beginning to change. If you look at Facebook and all such applications, people are willingly putting their private information, something which the laws are trying to protect, but people are voluntarily trying to disclose. So I think if security requires that some kind of intrusion is necessary, then that kind of privacy, which we also say privacy by design in terms of creation of secure systems which are protecting privacy as well. So this kind of privacy intrusion probably would be acceptable for secure systems.
In Europe, how well is Europe working with Asia, with the United States, others in coordinating cybersecurity? What sort of international discussions or treaties or what's going on that front?
I think we have in a lot of areas a good cooperation because if you look from Europe, you have a long tradition, for example, with Europe member states or the so-called old member states before the fall of the wall with the United States. So I think with the extension of the European Union in 2004 with the new member states, we also did a lot of approach with the, let's say, so-called democratic member states, then to have a good approach. We have a lot of discussions with Asia too. There are a lot of cooperation on national levels, what we try now to build on an international level. So with the new approach of the European Union and like ENISA as an agency, which is now established 6 years ago, we have possibilities to have it more in a formal way. So I think in the future also with this new commission, we will improve this, and therefore I'm very happy to be here also to have this contact with others.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to?
In terms of cooperation, in India, for example, through the CERT, the Computer Emergency Response Team that has been created, so cooperation mechanisms have been initiated. CERT is a member of First CERT and AppCERT, and I think they work closely with ENISA as well. So some interactions have taken place. So at this level, one is beginning to cooperate. But at the law enforcement level, I think there's much that remains to be desired. So much remains to be done in this field.
Yes.
I think that's a good example which shows that if you look into this community, on a technical level, it's much more easier to understand. So, for example, the CERT community works together independently of the political framework. So I think the first step is done that we have on a global world, from China to India to Europe to United States and other countries, a well-working system of cooperation if something happens. And I think the important thing is that we do this on a political framework, that we have some understanding how to work in law enforcement, how to understand other legal framework to formalize it in the future.
Howard?
Yeah, we have a long history in the United States of doing a lot of international cooperation through the G8 Subcommittee on Cybercrime and Critical Infrastructure Protection, United Nations, a global group of experts, which is another group we're working on, through OECD. Of course, when they launched the India CERT back in 2003, we were down there supporting that and helping share information with ENISA, working very much with ENISA. So we have a long history of this, and we look at it not only just